Morning and welcome to Morning Cuppa. It's great to have your company today. I've got my cup of tea, and I'm gonna share with you something a little different today. I might even sing a little song a cappella that you might enjoy. You might. I've been watching some of my colleagues and friends online who have been putting different things up that have been offering people encouragement and engagement and just a little inspiration. And one of the things that I've seen that some of my really creative friends doing is sharing some of their home recipes, sharing some of the things that they're cooking and they're baking. And so I wanted to share with you what is it's my signature dish. It's something that it's me on a plate. It's not too difficult, but it's something that I think you're going to enjoy. Now, particularly if you're from overseas, if you're from America, you might not have tried this before. If you're from Australia, you'll know this dish well. But it's something that maybe I can give you a few tips how to make it just right. So, first thing we need to do is to make sure that we have the right ingredients and the right equipment. The ingredients you're going to need to have some butter. You're going to need to have bread, sliced bread. It's really important that it's sliced. And you can have one or two, doesn't matter. But you need to have sliced bread. Can't emphasize that enough. And then the final ingredient that you need is this. Now, if you have this around the house, if you're Australian, you probably have this in your pantry. If not, you can order it online. You're going to make sure you have this because what we're going to make is Australian toast. And you need to have Vegemite for Australian toast. Now, the Vegemite, we're going to show you just how to apply that so that you get the best and the premium flavor of that. But the first thing you need to do as we start to make the dish, make sure you have the right equipment. You're going to need a toaster, you're going to need a knife, and a plate. So if you assemble your ingredients and the right equipment, then we're ready to get started. Now, you might not have a toaster quite like this one. This is an Australian toaster. You know it's an Australian toaster because it has a crumpet setting on it right there. You can't see that, but that is a crumpet setting. It says right on it, crumpet. Now, we're not making crumpets today, we're making Australian toast, but if you were making crumpets, use the crumpet setting. If you're not in Australia and you're using some other kind of toaster, any kind of toaster will do. You just want to make sure you put the bread in the toaster like so. And make sure this is where some people get confused. Don't put it in this way. Make sure it's not in horizontally because you'll get an inferior result. So make sure you put it in vertically like this, toast in, all right? And then the next step is make sure that you've got the setting just right. Now, some people will go for a minute or two. I think that does not give you the optimum toast and crisp that you're looking for. I tend to like to go for a 4 minute, and that gives a good solid toast just before you burn it. All right, and then once you've got the setting right on your toaster, and you might have different dials or that, you might need to time it yourself. But then you should have a lever like this, and you just push it down, and you wait. Now, on a lot of these cooking shows, they'll have one that they prepared earlier. I don't have a cooking show, so I don't have one that I prepared earlier. While we're waiting, maybe speaking of bread, I'll share with you a passage of scripture that's actually I think the funniest passage of scripture that there is. It's laugh out loud funny if you read the Gospel of Mark straight through, and you see this setup, you see it develop. It's really important to know that what comes before this passage, that Jesus has fed 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread and a couple of fish. it's just this amazing thing. You get the disciples say, how can we do this? This is impossible. And Jesus said, you give them something to eat. And the next thing you know, that everybody's eating and having all they need, and there are leftovers. And then he runs the lesson again with 4,000 people. And again, the disciples are like they weren't there the first time. They served the people the first time, but then when he feeds the 4,000, there are leftovers again, and the disciples are amazed again. And we got this theme of bread that runs through the Gospel of Mark, and it leads up to this passage here, where Jesus has one of his run-ins with the Pharisees. And so he gets in the boat with the disciples, and they're headed out in the boat. And we see this in Mark 8, starting with the 14th verse. Jesus talking about this run-in with the Pharisees. The disciples, when they're in the boat, the disciples had forgotten to bring bread, except for one loaf that they had with them in the boat. Be careful, Jesus warned. Watch out for the yeast of the Pharisees and that of Herod. Yeast, he's talking here metaphorically, but they are thinking about bread. And they discussed with one another that it says in verse 16, they discussed this with one another, and they said, it is because we have no bread. So here they think that Jesus is talking about not having bread, and he's being sort of passive aggressive. Beware the yeast of the Pharisees. Beware the yeast of Herod. No, he's moved on. But they're stuck thinking we don't have enough bread. And now he's mad. I'm just checking on this. Oh my goodness. We got that one just in time. We're going to let that rest. It's important to let it rest before we move on. But he's aware, in verse 17, aware of their discussion. Jesus asked them, why are you talking about having no bread? Do you still not understand? Are your hearts hardened? Do you have eyes but fail to see, and ears and fail to hear? And don't you remember when I broke the 5 loaves for the 5,000? How many baskets full of pieces did you pick up? 12, they replied. And when I broke the 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many baskets full of pieces did you pick up? And they answered, 7. He said to them, do you still not understand? I love this, what Australians call a dummy spit that Jesus has here. That he's done everything he can to show the disciples that when I send you on a mission, when I ask you to do something, I won't leave you without enough. I'll give you enough to do what you need to do, and not just enough, but more than enough. You'll have leftovers. You'll have enough and to spare. And I love that passage. But I just want to share that with you today. If you're thinking, am I going to have enough? Am I going to have enough? Remember what Jesus said to the disciples in the boat. Now, this toast is ready. Now, use your knife. Don't use a fork. Never use a fork. Because if there's one thing I remember from that Dumb Ways to Die ad, is not about... I'm not sure how much safer I am around trains, but I do know you don't get your toast out with a fork. So you take it out carefully, making sure not to reach inside the toaster, and put it on the plate. Very good, like that. If you're not sure about how you can get the toast out, it's always good to unplug it or just click off the switch. You can do that if you're in an Australian kitchen. Now, here's where we get to it. You put a little bit of butter on the toast. We're going to butter this one right here. Oh, we're getting there now. Just a light coating of butter is all you need. You don't need very much. Just a little light coating. Make sure you cover this. You really only want to butter one side of the toast. Some people, they make the mistake of trying to butter both sides, and that makes it difficult to eat. So you've got the toast buttered on one side. Now you're ready for the Vegemite. Now, if you're an American, you need to know how to apply the Vegemite so that you get the optimal taste. And this is something that my Australian friends taught me when I first came to Australia is how to apply the Vegemite. They taught me, I think the same day they taught me about the drop bears. And the key is Australians love Vegemite. So you don't want to skimp on the Vegemite. You want to get a good hefty portion of that. Almost think like you're frosting a cake. You want a good, almost a teaspoonful for a piece of toast would be a good start, and you just lay it on really thick. Excellent, just like that. See, you lay it on super thick, and if that's not enough, you can reach and you can get just a little bit more, because this is beautiful stuff for breakfast. There we go. Put it on. Now, some people say that Vegemite is an acquired taste. I'm not sure that you can acquire this taste. It's something you either get or you don't. So I hope you enjoy the Australian toast. It is delicious. If you've not had Australian toast with this recipe, you don't know what you're missing. Make sure you order some Vegemite. Great it's very healthy. And it just, it was great with a cup of tea. Oh, yeah, it's delicious. Wonderful. So I did promise you, I promised you I was going to sing. And I am going to sing because I'll do just about anything to lift people's spirits. And so I'm going to sing a song that every Australian knows, and it's a song called "We're Happy Little Vegemites." I do need to look at the words because I haven't consulted it since my citizenship test. Here we go. We're happy little Vegemites, as bright can be. We all enjoy our Vegemite for breakfast, lunch, and tea. Our mummies say we're growing stronger every single week because we love our Vegemite. We all adore our Vegemite. It puts a rose on every cheek. God bless you and have a hope-filled day.